Welcome to FCC Supporter Square, the show for fans, by fans, and about fans. Here are your hosts, Mark Suppin and Matt Warman.
Welcome, Orange and Blue Nation. Welcome to FCC Supporter Square, the show for fans, by fans, and about fans. Although there are no fans on here, except for we are fans, so we always have fans on this show. We are skating at full strength, as we say. Mark had his yellow card accumulation and set out his 1 week, and now he is back. We're happy to have him. But we also have Andrew. So in case you didn't know, so Mark has a penchant for getting angry. He doesn't like pizza, and he likes to go talk to refs in their dressing area. So periodically, Mark gets his yellow card accumulation, and we have to sub him in. So, but this time we have everybody here. So, Andrew, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you once again for having me. I guess I haven't scared you off of me just yet.
No, I have Mark. So, Mark, how are you doing, sir?
Doing just excellent. Doing just excellent. Thankfully, no red cards as of yet. But I just might be the next one to keep the FC Cincinnati streak going. But let's hopefully that doesn't happen.
Let's hope. So let's jump right into the good, the bad, the ugly. This team is so hard to figure out, and there's so many things to talk about. Pro refs are so weird. But let's just start with, this was the fourth game with a red card, and the second game where we've had a red card down a goal and ended up getting some kind of result. So against Montreal, scored two to win it. I think if we had a little more time, we probably would have won against Toronto. What were your thoughts on watching that, Andrew?
I mean, honestly, I hated it. It was awful to watch. It was not an entertaining match. I mean, it's as Noonan said, you take the positives out of it, and they fought back. They fought back for a point, down a man. You love to see that. The match overall, not inspiring. Not a lot of encouragement to be drawn from that as a whole. Especially as I'm sure we'll get into with Kevin Denke making it 4 games in a row with a red card for the FC.
That puts us in a kind of a bind coming up. So, but we're gonna focus on Toronto. So, Mark, what were your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, you just saw a tale of two halves. Certainly the first half, was quite unremarkable, but second half, I think despite how we were starting to play, it just really never materialized into something tangible until Mbamidem got his goal. But yeah, it's just a continued struggle in the defensive third. We need help. We need help right now, and because if the defensive third's not going to get it, the midfield cannot withstand all of that pressure, and that's why Toronto was able to get through so many times, and they had enough chances. Thank gosh we kept a player like Sargent out of the goal. That we got to take a plus out of that, but it just took resilience. It took something probably we hadn't seen this year with this team, is like, okay, we're gonna make something out of this, and I'm happy we got that result. I am.
So thoughts. The stat line says 50-50 possession. We got more yellow cards. If I remember correctly, that was an own goal. So we scored all of the goals. The one thing I've noticed about Toronto is they play really hard. They play pretty dynamic. They remind me an awful lot of Columbus. They just haven't figured out how they put the ball in the back of the net. They had some chances, and we had some chances though. But I'm going to say, unlike I'm playing the ref card this week. The ref card can be played every week, but we haven't played well enough to win. But you could see that the guys were very frustrated, and the way I said it on Slack when we were talking in chat during the game was the first 10 minutes he called nothing. He just let everybody push each other around, and then the next 10 minutes he called everything, the most ticky tacky part, and then the final 10 minutes it was like nothing for FC Cincinnati, and they were getting kind of frustrated.
Mm.
How many times are you going to get pushed? I think Andrew, you said that the Toronto player clearly stepped on Evander's foot, and you
Oh
said
my gosh,
that's
yeah.
that's what Dado got a yellow card. I think he was flying in. He was reckless and then stepped on his leg. I'm not sure.
Dado got 2 games out of that.
I'm not sure. I'd give him a
I
red card,
know.
give him a yellow card. So what was your guys' opinion of pro ref? I mean, we all know that they're bad, but was it especially bad this week, or am I being a homer?
I think there was I mean, you can play the ref card a bit for sure. I didn't like the way that it was officiated. As you mentioned, the Evander non-call, that's egregious in my eyes. I mean, like I was saying, Dado received 2 game suspension for, in my estimation, a very similar play, and we don't even get a foul out of that. That's insane to me. And beyond that, I mean, Kevin Denke, continues to. It feels like he just is on the receiving end of a lot of bad calls. He doesn't get a call in his favor when he's getting shoved around, but as soon as he outmuscles somebody, because we've seen the 6 pack, we know that he's capable of it. But as soon as he outmuscles somebody, he gets called. It was only a matter of time until the frustration kind of got to him, and he got a little handsy. I mean, it's been going on for over a year now.
Yeah, she
But
reminds
other
me,
than
and
that, I mean, yeah, just the officiating left a lot to be desired.
he reminds me a lot of Shaq. Shaq is like 7'3" and 270, right? So he always got beat up. He always got beat up. If he was 6'7" and he got pushed around like he did because he could take it, they would never call fouls on Shaquille fouling Shaquille O'Neal. I think Kevin Denke is the same way. Is that if Kevin Denke uses his power, it's like, well, you've overpowered him, and of course they sell it, and it's part of soccer. But I think what really just made him snap is that he clearly got pushed in the box, and that they didn't call anything. So, what was your thought on the officiating and the Denke call, Mark?
Yeah. I saw the play. Saw the play that I really saw ATN put a knee after he stepped on Dinky's foot. After that, he put a knee in his back, in his lower back. And you know what? I would have gone down. I would have been hurt. I would have been, you know, mad that nothing was called. Now, granted, it's in the box, and it's hard to make, hard to make a play there. But that happened. I saw it, and they showed the back angle that showed exactly what happened, and you saw him jerk up because he just got you get hit in the small of the back. That's what it feels like. Yeah, pro referees, going back to Guido Gonzalez Jr. And all of the bad stuff that we've had to endure. This is yet another layer of that pro referee debacle. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of seeing us getting beat up and pushed around. Now, granted, we're a team that has started to fight. 2023. I think that 2022 we started to fight back. Now, granted, it caused a lot of PKs and some small issues and people getting tossed, but we finally said enough's enough. And I just think something's got to change with this. Something's got to be presented to pro referees and said you can't get away with this year after year after year and expect fans like us to say, oh, it's just soccer. Well, no, something more has to happen and accountability has to be addressed.
It's just sad. I mean, it's not that we played the perfect game. It wasn't like the refs prevented us. I think he prevented us from having some set pieces pretty close to the box.
Yeah.
Evander's still not quite there, and he's missed some shots, and Denke missed some things. But we looked pretty dynamic that first half, and it looked like they kind of figured us out, and then we kept passing it to people that were 1-on-3, and making some bad passes to keep possession. But those refs, I mean, if you're gonna, all players say, we don't care if you're gonna call it close, call it tight, call it loose, just call it consistent. And he was doing none of that.
Yep.
And they just tend to want to do these kinds of things. And also, I thought VAR was there, that you make a call in the box because there was a foul in the box, and VAR goes, no, that's not a foul in the box. That's what you're supposed to do. And VAR is supposed to not take 10 minutes, but
Yeah.
we're not getting those types of things. So, right? So we score there, if I remember correctly, it's 1-0. So would have tied it up, and he wouldn't have gotten a red card because he wouldn't have had to lose his mind. And Janike is
Yeah.
the second game in a row that he's had that. Evander was not happy with this ref because of that. It's really hard when one team can push you around and flop, and you get pushed around and either you flop or you actually fall down and don't get a call. It's like, what am I supposed to do? He pushed me in the back. You know, not this game, but the previous game. Echenike is just seeing the ball out, and the defender gives him a two-hand shove into the wall, and the ref was like, I didn't see anything. It's like, how could you not? He put his hands out, pushed him. You know, it's not like he shouldered him out or whatever. That was unacceptable. That should have been a yellow card. You got to stop this kind of nonsense.
Yeah.
So, with that also said, let's get into the meat of things. Is that this team seems to be able to get into positions to score, but are still not doing it. They looked a lot like Toronto in the sense that they're making chances, and this is why I've said last week, are we overvaluing the players that we have? Evander's clearly not right. I don't know why. I don't know if it's physical. I don't know if it's mental. I don't know if it's like Orshano last year where he was injured and then he missed some in his mind easy shots and then started pressing. I don't know if Evander's doing that, but Evander's missing some shots that he should be making. Danke's not doing some of the things that he needs to do as well, but then he's getting bodied. So are we overvaluing our players, or is it the we're just not connecting, Andrew?
You know, I'm inclined to think that they're just not connecting because I've said this before. To think that we're overvaluing them is to say that everybody is wrong, that Albright's wrong, Noonan's wrong, that the clubs that sold them to us are wrong, that the pundits are wrong. I mean, and maybe we're all just wrong. I don't know. But I find it hard to believe that you have this this group of players that you believe to be so individually talented. I find it hard to believe that they're not as talented as we believe them to be. There has to be something deeper there why they're not connecting together, why they're not able to execute on these chances that they get. I don't know what that is. I've said a million times on this show, I'm not a tactics guy. I don't know what's going on there, but something isn't right with what this team is putting together on the field. Because I mean, in a world where Evander, who was supposed to be an MVP candidate, where Kevin Denke was sold to us as this Golden Boot contender, and they have past successes to show off that, like, hey, we actually can, compete at the level that we're said to, but for some reason they're not doing it on the field for FC Cincinnati, and that's something that really needs remedied.
I think what you see is, like, for example, there was a 2-on-1, and the pass was to Barlow, and Barlow couldn't quite get it, and then he tried to turn around and he couldn't quite do anything with it. That's kind of where it is. If it was a nice slip pass, or Barlow could have handled it, he could have one touched it and probably put it in quite easily. We are this. It's these microcosms where we're not like last year. We could not generate hardly any offense.
Yep.
We would somehow get a breakaway or a right bounce, and put the ball in the back of the net and then try to hold on. But if we were playing against a stout
Yeah.
team, a good defensive team, we couldn't break them down for nothing. This year, they are breaking down these teams. You know, Toronto is what, third, fourth in the standings. They're a good team. They
Mhm.
play very good defense. But we were breaking them down. We had opportunities. The ball gets crossed and nobody's there. Barlow gets the ball, but it's not at his feet. So it's these small little things that if they go right, we're not talking about this, and we're not talking about we're in 10th place. 10th place, tied for 10th, really tied for ninth. With DC United, they have one better goal in the goal differential, and they lost to USL Knoxville last night in the Open Cup. So you know, we're not going to be ninth. But I'm going to throw a curveball at you, Mark. This week, Inter Miami, who won the cup last year,
Right.
second in points in the table, fired their coach.
Yep.
Fired their coach because I think Messi didn't like him. So first, what's your thoughts on that? And we're not Inter Miami fans, so we don't really care that much. But does that put impetus on people, maybe not you specifically, but people in this area going, well, if Miami's going to fire that coach, maybe we should fire Noonan and hire that guy or another guy, right? I don't know who you replace him with. Does that put more pressure on Noonan to succeed? Does that put his seat hotter?
No, Matt. What we have to do is just step back and look at exactly what Miami is. Miami is a supernova in this thing of MLS. You know, they're just bigger, larger than life, bigger than everything else. Um, you know, you can't get a ticket for less than $500 and be able to see a person like Lionel Messi on the field. Uh, Marcherano, you know, no doubt, great coach, but you saw some kinks in the armor. They shouldn't have bowed out that early in that CONCACAF Cup. So I think as a result, Messi's not happy with this, and what Messi says, Messi does. You know, Messi says, "I want Marcherano out." It probably was that way. So does it put anything on Noonan? I don't think so at all. I don't think you can balance both. I think it's apples and oranges as far as business and you know how things are executed at each club level. So you know, I think there's things that can be fixed with this club. You know, Noonan was always a master at getting the people onto the pitch and getting the best out of them. You saw that with Alvaro Barrial. You saw that with Orishano. You saw that with a few other players that have come and, you know, you saw that with Brenner. You saw that with Vasquez when he was here. Boom, these guys just exploded. And, you know, we need that back. We've said that Evander was going to be a better, a step up than Acosta. And initially it seemed to look that way. Right now it seems like Evander's on an island and everybody else is trying to figure out what's going on around him. And that's where the struggle is. Acosta could just play wherever he wanted. And Evander's trying to do that and it's not working. So I think something has to change. Something has to be tweaked so that you can get a Naboto, you can get a Buka, you can get a Gidi, all in synchrony on that midfield. That's gonna be the key to the rest of this season. And we've got a very tough Chicago team coming up that's going to challenge that. And we have our work cut out for us. And boy, we better be ready for this match on Saturday.
Andrew, I'll let you respond on Noonan as the hot seat, and what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, as far as what happened in Miami, I don't think that changes the temperature of Noonan's seat. Um, I will say that I do think Noonan's seat is getting warmer. They're going to give Noonan time to figure this out, and Albright too, for that matter. I don't know how long that leash goes. I don't know if that carries to the World Cup break, if that gets you through the rest of the season. Uh, but what you see on the field, on television, whatever is it doesn't lie to you. I mean, the things aren't working, and as I said earlier, they've invested a significant amount of money in the players that they have on the field, and they expected a lot more from these players. And at a certain point, the gaze has to shift towards the coach, I think. Now, I'm not, in the heat of the moment, I'll get angry and say some stuff about Pat Noonan, but overall, I'm not a Noonan out guy. I still think that they can, dig out of this hole, that they can figure things out. But it's like Mark was, just saying a minute ago. We saw, Noonan be able to get the best out of his players when he came here. We need to see that now. I don't know what all that entails. I think that one of the biggest issues plaguing the club right now is, even still, a year and a half after the fact, is the Acosta departure that was largely unexpected. Evander is a very skilled player, but I think he needs to be a part of a system. When you had Lucio Acosta was the system. So
Yep.
it's hard to find someone who's going to live up to that. Acosta was, a free roaming guy. He, would, take the ball and score when he needed to, but he also knew how to distribute it. He seemed to elevate the guys that were around him.
Yes.
Evander doesn't do that. Evander, needs to be, given a ball in a good spot to be able to do something with it. I think he hasn't seemed like the guy who creates something out of nothing, and that is going to fall on Pat Noonan to figure out how to make that work. So I don't think that Noonan is in danger of being evicted if they lose Saturday, but if things continue to look the way they do, then you start paying closer attention to what goes on there. Come summertime for sure.
Well, so my thought is that they had a quiet off season. They had a year together. These players should know one another. Um, they seem to be out of sync on the last pass. And the telling thing that I see is particularly in the second half, the Toronto made some adjustments. So we were making some passes to midfield to two players or three players. It was 1-on-3. So what are we going to do? Pass it back? It seemed like we fell back into a predictable pattern of kicking the ball around. And when you play a team like Toronto who likes to press, that gave them chances and opportunities. We were giving the ball up way too easy in the midfield because we were trying to pass to space or try to pass to somebody that wasn't there. These kinds of, I thought you were going to be there when you weren't there. I don't know if that's the players. I don't know if they're in their heads too much. They don't seem to be playing very free. I don't know if that's the coaching staff or the players, but I will say this. Twice we've had red cards. Twice we brought in some young guys, and the young guys delivered. Now the final blow was Denke in Montreal, but Mohamed Den came in, and within 5 minutes we countered and scored. So it's going to be very interesting. I don't know where we are injury wise. I've been the weather's been nice. I've been trying to get the yard put together, so I have not had a chance to look at that. But we have Robinson back from red card, but is he healthy? We have Miazga, who it appeared to me had a groin injury. I don't think he's going to be in there.
Mhm.
Yankee is out. So
Yep.
what does it look like when we're playing the second place team?
If you want me to answer, go ahead. I'll go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
We also had, I think, Barlow got a knock during practice, and
Yeah.
Nobodo is still carrying something of a knock.
Mhm.
But that just means next men have to step up and take care of this. We've got a week between matches, so I think fitness is not going to be a true issue. But we've got players to account for that are not going to be suiting up on Saturday. So a big cog in our defense, huge cog in our offense. So we've got an uphill battle to climb here. But good thing is, I mean, it's not a good thing, but yeah, it's Kuipers with Chicago seems to be out. I'm not sure what happened, but he got some kind of injury. So that's their leading scorer. So if they've given us any kind of chance with that, this is our opportunity. We can't remain here in ninth place. We must start our ascent post haste.
It's going to be an interesting game Saturday. It's going to be wet. It's gonna if it from a weather standpoint. As I try to keep an eye on these types of things, a cold front is coming through.
Yep.
I thought it was supposed to be Sunday, but it looks like the low on Saturday night is 41. I don't know if that's 3 in the morning or 10 p.m. But it looks like it's going to be some rain and cooling off. So that should be very interesting. And we haven't had a home game in some time, so that'll be nice. Thoughts on playing Chicago, Andrew?
I am a bit nervous about it for sure. I mean, Chicago, we were talking about them last year. They really came on, and they have continued that trajectory. They're looking like a hot team right now. It's that's a tough matchup, and I don't know how much I like FC Cincinnati's chances. Down Denke. I mean, Miazga doesn't move the needle for me as much because Miazga really hasn't looked like Matt Miazga since he went down in San Jose, I believe
Yep.
it was.
Yes.
But I mean, going into Saturday, there. I mean, it's got to be next man up, and I still believe that this team just it needs to figure out its identity, and it needs to hone in on that, and that can really push them towards a win. I mean, Miazga's out, but like I said, I don't know how much Miazga was giving you anyway right now. No offense to Matt, I love Matt, but we've seen what we've seen. I mean, if you've still got Miles Robinson, Nick Hagland, those are two of your top choice defenders right now, depending on what they're going to run. 4 back, 3 back, whatever. You need to lock in and keep the goals from sneaking in like they have been. And you know what? To their credit, they did a good job of that in Toronto. They managed to lock that down. They had the one goal that went by when they were down a man. That's going to happen as soon as you go down a man. You're banking on them to score a goal most likely. Uh, if they can keep that momentum going and just try to get something going in the attack, I mean, I would love to see Echenike play striker maybe. In Denke's absence, I think he offers something up there that is proven to be dangerous, but hasn't really been capitalized on yet. Uh, I don't know what all that entails as far as how the rest of the formation plays out beyond that. But all that said, Chicago, terrifying team. It's going to take
Yep.
some guts to square off against them, especially in if we do end up having poor weather. That just adds to all that. But I think they've still got the men capable of getting it done. They just have to figure out who they are and how to execute on it.
We swept them last year, and it's essentially the same team, and it's essentially the same team here. And we keep talking about the past and what we think. I mean, one of the things that you would see is Vasquez, right? So you'd have somebody play a hold up, and Vasquez would run. Somebody play up, and Brenner would make a run. I don't think we have that second striker that does that. I think Jabari can be that player. He's just a little bit young, and I don't think he's finding his position. Echenike as a striker would not be bad if we could just keep him way up center, and particularly if they're playing a high line, you could just kick it over the defense. I don't like that kind of play, but if Echenike can outrun somebody and put it in the back of the net, I don't care how pretty or ugly it is at the moment. I think that's what we're missing on offense, is somebody of that caliber who plays off of a hold-up player like Denke, who can take the beating, and it should be passing it back to Evander and Evander running the show, but that's not where it's going sometimes. That's where it is. This is going to be a tough game, and this is going to be one of these games where we are not favored to win. It's over the last few years, it's been very rare that we've had somebody not choosing us as the dominant player to win or at least draw. It's going to be a tough game, but it's also a game that I think is winnable. I think this game has we have the ingredients, and I think these young kids, and no offense to Danke, I think he's kind of off. I don't know what's going on. I mean, he wrecked his car. I don't think that was anything other than he wrecked his car, but he's not quite in his right mind fully. I don't think he's doing the things that he used to do when early. I don't know what's going on. To have him sit and have Jabari and Dado as strikers could be awful. It could be amazing. I don't know. So that's what I would suggest, and maybe get some really good, strong. I mean, Dado could help in the bring the ball back with and have a Vander up. We could have a false nine. We could have so we have a lot of interplay. We have a lot of players, and these young players do make mistakes, but they also show up and give us points. We got a point yesterday because and they seem to finally play with fire when the young kids come in. They get angry and they just like, we're going to take it. Forget about you guys. We're just going to do this. We're tired of this, and they seem to be able to do that. So that being said, Andrew, what's your score line? I already know how you feel. I can already tell by the look on your face that this is not the scoreline you want to say.
No, not really. My score line's probably the capo shouldn't be saying anything negative. You already know where I'm going with it, so I will lean into the positive and say that the guys are going to get it right. That the back line is going to not leak as many goals as they have, in many games this season. You're going to see Dado get up there in the striker role and show why, he has a whole subculture on social media clamoring for him to be a starter. And I'm going to go with a 1-0 win Cincinnati.
Mark, you're not a capo.
You can give it to us straight, man.
You can tell us what you really think.
All right, from the fifth row, I will give my prediction. I don't care about the rain. I don't care about whatever firepower these fire goofballs. I mean, I see the names that are on their roster, and I know what they're capable of. But I think the boys get a good 2-1 victory on Saturday with that Bailey rocking for 90 minutes plus.
I think this team is well coached at Chicago, but and they played well at times. I saw them in Chicago last year, and we were the better team. Later in this season, I think we saw them again, and they improved. Right, they made the playoffs last year. They were up and coming.
Yep.
They're well coached, but I feel like we match up well against them, even with the however they're playing this year. Right, we're not playing well. They should be playing well. If we had 4, we're only 6 points behind. We're 6 points. This is a 6-point match. I think this team is sick and tired of being sick and tired. Yes, we have some, and that's the thing that's been the revolving board of our defense. Robinson's out, then Miazga's out, and then they're both out, and then somebody else is out. And it seems like we can't seem to get both Miazga, a full healthy Miazga, and a full healthy Robinson on for a significant period of time. I think that's what's causing our defense. I think Flores is played from really not good to really good, and Hadebe is Hadebe. And Hagelin is, he's lost his stuff, but he's still a savvy veteran. I don't know if we play a 4-4-2 diamond and throw out their plans in Chicago. That's something that we did last time. We had some defensive issues. I think that might be something that you see again. I see it. We should have had a clean sheet. It was just a weird defensive, not a lapse. He just hit the ball, and clearly I thought Celentano had the ball. He likes to jump early on those types of things and got deflected in the net. It was pretty much a clean sheet against Toronto. I'll say 2-1 Cincinnati. They get this right. It's a 6-point game. I don't care about power rankings. I don't care if we're last the power rankings. We're clearly not hitting on all cylinders, but we still have a long way to go. We jump up to 10 points and beat Chicago at home. They stay at 13. We're only 3 points behind them. You know, the proof of the pudding is when we start playing Nashville and Miami. We know that. Let's get 3 points and put all this craziness to bed, and now we're mid-table and we can get some people healed up. We also have a Wednesday game, so we're not going to talk about that on this one. We're just going to let that happen. It's at the Pigeons. I would just say 4-2 loss at the Pigeons. Real quick, win or lose at New York at Yankee Stadium. Andrew.
Let's see. Yankee Stadium. I'll give that a win. We never win up there. We're going to get momentum going when we beat Chicago, and we're going to get a win in Yankee Stadium. The last time we'll visit Yankee Stadium, I believe.
Yes,
probably.
They've got their new stadium up and coming, so
yep.
Yeah, we'll leave our mark there as we head out. 2-1 win up in the baseball field.
Yeah.
We play soccer to baseball field. Okay, Mark.
2 home runs hit by FC Cincinnati, and we take a 2-0 victory. So, just call it what you want. But, yeah, I guess a goal is a home run in equation. So 2-0 up there. Let's get it done.
Before we go, I'm just going to say my final words is this team is frustrating to watch at times, just because they seem like they should be better than they are, and they seem like they're struggling. But if you look at the results, they're not nearly struggling as much as you think they are. And I know a lot of people get really wound up about it. Chill out. We win 2 games this week, and you see us next Thursday with smiles on our faces. I'm not sure we win in New York, but let's say we do. Let's be positive here. Why not?
Yes.
Because we're fans. Of course, we're going to be positive. We get a 6-point lead. Now we're like 3rd, 4th, 5th. We can do this.
For sure.
So thank you guys for hanging out. We just ran this really long because we had so many hot takes. I love it. So we'll see you next time here on FCC Supporter Square.
Thank you for watching FCC Supporter Square. Please like and subscribe on YouTube and Spotify. The intro song was Disappointed by the Stone Bunnies. The outro song was Awesome Sauce, also by the Stone Bunnies. If you'd like to be on the show or contact us, it is at fcc.supp.square@gmail.com. We'll see you next time.